Good afternoon. I'm Jeannie Stacks. I'm the Director of Hood County Environmental Health, and I'm in charge of the Citizens Collection Station. I don't know if any of y'all have seen Ashley Terry's article in the newspaper. She kind of enlightened some of the stuff about the collection station. They started working on it, I believe, in 2008. And it was from the startup was actually from the North Central Texas Council of Governments grant. When the collection station first started, there were 4 bays set up out there. Now we have 8 we use. And the size of it was doubled in 2019. So it was started because Hood County did not have a place to go with anything. And anything that was dumped on the side of the road, Road Ops was in charge of picking up. But then when Road Ops got it, we had to put it somewhere and then find a place to get rid of it. So they started the collection station. It's at 244 Brace Street, which is off of Highway 377 going toward Toller. You go past the Equibrand Road, take Cokeport to the right, Bray to the left, and the collection station is on the left. Most days it looks like a bomb went off out there. Okay, Sean. We're open Monday, Friday, and Saturdays from 8 to 1, Wednesdays 12 to 5, and it's closed Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and for inclement weather. I guess we could call those 100 and something days we just had inclement, because it gets very hot in the bell room. When I first got there in 2019, the thing was not even insulated. But we did spray foam insulation. It keeps it 10 degrees cooler. It has fans, and we have one of our many recycled units that it has an AC unit that we can actually run in there that'll get it somewhere close to 80. The office shack, as everybody calls it out there, does have heating and cooling in it in a refrigerator, so they have ways they can take a break and cool down. Oh. All right, now this is not funny. I have a copy of the presentation up here, but I also have some single copies of the fee schedule. The collection station, for the most part, is 50-50. In other words, the fees, the items we sell for the metal, the cardboard, the batteries, those fees make up 50% of what we spend out there. The other 50% is taxpayer supplemented. This is a breakdown of the bulk waste fees. We are cheaper than most areas. For a passenger vehicle and all, they started in 2019 when I was working with the engineer on the expansion. He said that in 2019, the passenger car for most of the other collection stations, waste stations, started at 20. So we are cheaper, but in that instance, I'm afraid to go up because we already carry the road operations has to help us, and we pick up lots of items. Okay, the recycles. Of course, the glass goes to Midlothian. The members of the public get to donate it or take it out there for free. The same with the paper and plastics. What y'all need to understand, the paper and plastics go to a recycling yard in Fort Worth. The county pays a flat rate for that recycling bin to be moved, to be transported. But we also pay $55 a ton for that yard to receive the recycles. And I say that the company that Hood County uses for transport and to get everything is so large, the recycling yard in Fort Worth gives them basically a 50% discount. For a small company to take a recycle packer to the yard, it costs $101 a ton. So in this instance, we're getting a good deal out of it. Up until recently, the appliances, we did take them, but there was an independent person that came and got the few we actually received. When they closed the recycling yard on 377 in Hood County, everything jumped up and we had to come up with a solution. A company out of Stephenville comes and picks up all the appliances, washers, dryers, and those items and takes them back to Stephenville. And they pay us for those. The cardboard, I kind of am jumping around on this. The cardboard, when I came to Hood County in 2019, we baled a bale a week. In August of 2019, they picked up all the recycling containers all over Hood County. Pecan Plantation had them. All the schools had them. The newspaper had them. And the company couldn't make enough money and they took them all away. Well, when that happened, the recycling center went from one bale a week to one bale a day. And when I got here, there was nobody taking the cardboard. I couldn't give it away. I worked with Recycle Texas. And I believe it's now Keep Texas Beautiful. It's changed names a couple of times since 2019, but we found the company that now picks up our cardboard bales, and we're shipping over 40 over three months. So, and we get a decent price for it. The used motor oil filters and antifreeze, those are all free. We do pay for them to take those items. But probably 3 months ago, I was called by a commissioner to go to a cemetery and look at the used oil filters that had been dumped. It was a commercial business that dumped them. And it was out here at the one past the gate to Pecan Plantation. I believe it's Fall Creek Cemetery. We picked over 100 oil filters up. So our goal is to try to get a little more information out about this collection station because most people don't know it's there. They may get bombarded after the newspaper article, but vehicle batteries. When I first came to the county, we hauled all of the batteries to the recycle yard that was in Hood County. When that left, I have to take them. And lately it's about 2 loads a month. So nobody is dumping the batteries or anything like that. Passenger tires and light truck tires. Hood County has always allowed the first 4 for free, although it cost us about $3 a tire for the passenger tires. There were some recently, I think they charged us as much as $30 a tire. But those tires go to All American Recycling. believe has a Fort Worth address, but it's actually closer to Mansfield. They take the tires and grind them, and they're used. I went and toured the facility about 18 months ago, and they use the rubber from the tires to make the little, I call them rubber balls or whatever, for the AstroTurf. They're using a certain portion of it in the asphalt now. So that company, it's a veteran-owned company. I think the guy started it with about $3,500. And this facility is amazing, the way he has it set up. I know they use part of it in playground equipment, but everything they do, it has to, the first time they grind it, they only get 90% of the metal out of the tires, out of the rubber. So when they grind it the second time, it makes it a little, it's not as bulky or whatever, but all of the metal is out of it. So then it can be used for playground equipment also. So there are, I don't know if y'all know this, there are several lawns within the city limits of Granbury that they use the chunk rubber instead of mulch in their yards. One of them is over behind Miaco's, unless the gentleman has changed it. I worked for the city of Granbury for 8.5 years. So he asked if the city had any objections to that, and I was the health inspector, building inspector with the city, and I went out and looked at the yard that he had set up, and it was very nice. So there are other areas of recycling. And on the tires, everybody says, well, why did you take them? That cost the county money. It also costs money when road ops has to go get a complete dump truck full of them out of the middle of a county road. And that happened last fall. Thank goodness, because I called the sheriff's office and asked them to do a report for me, and they happened to call road ops because I told the sheriff's office I had seen a picture. I said, well, we'll just go pick them up. But they brought a complete dump truck full of tires. And then they brought another dump truck full of trash. So we get everything nobody else wants. They pick up refrigerators off the sides of the road. So my department, we pick up as much as we can, but there's only so many of us, and we're mainly in charge of other things. But we'll pick up couches, we'll pick up whatever, because they are dumped. And I don't know how many of y'all have been to the collection station, probably most of y'all. This is our recycle packer. They put paper, plastics. We do not take dirty pizza boxes, just so everybody knows. Well, let me rephrase that. We take them because we take them out and then they have to go in our bowl and stuff. Once this packer gets so full, we will call this in. They're supposed to pick it up within so many days. Because it goes to the Metroplex, it's not a pleasant commute because that's our only container. So they have to take it, dump it, and bring it back to us. Some of the drivers would get tricky and skip the packer. They'd come get just a regular dumpster, and so occasionally it gets shut down. We just had the deal serviced, so hopefully we won't have any problems with it in the near future. This is our Okay, it goes to a recycling yard in Fort Worth. And the way they do whatever, let me back it up. Whatever is packed in that container, it's somewhere between 5 and 7 tons of paper and plastics. It's then placed on conveyor belt. And there's actual people that go, that help sort the stuff when it gets up there. Sometimes and I don't know about the tenants now, but used to, they really griped at everybody, because if it is too dirty, then we're charged another fee and it goes to a landfill somewhere. That's the reason we're sticklers, trying to get everybody not to put dirty items or items we don't accept in this. And of course, the 2 containers there are actually, they look to be from Waste Connections, and it looks like they're recycle bins that they use in the city. But in the city of Granbury, they will take, if you get a recycle bin and they ask you not to put stuff in it that they don't accept in recycles, they'll come get your bin.
What do you mean they'll come get it? They'll just take it and you don't get it back or something?
Do what?
I don't get, what do you mean they'll take your unit, as in they'll take it and not go back to you, or?
And I'm gonna walk up here, I hope I don't, you see this still here?
Yeah.
That thing is, tied to this packing unit.
Right.
When they come, they undo all of that and they load that whole container.
Right.
And that whole container goes to Fort Worth. When it gets to Fort Worth, they unload the thing right there.
Right.
And then they have to bring that container back and put it back up to the machine.
Right.
So they try to only do it on the days we're off. That doesn't always happen. But they'll load it at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be back about the time we open out there, if everything goes right.
What kind of egg cartons?
On most of your egg cartons, don't they have the triangle on them?
There's about 8 different kinds of cartons. A lot of them are polystyrene, which shouldn't go in there, but it's styrofoam. Some of them are clear plastic, which are probably 1 or 2. And of course, there's a lot of the paper.
Yeah, a lot of them have become paper now, but
The ones that are kind of tend to be white and soft, foamy stuff, I assume you don't take. Because I think those are all numbers 6.
I don't think I have a plastic one in my truck. I know I have paper ones, but I don't think I have one of the polystyrene or whatever they call.
Time to 6, they don't take.
See, some of them will have the 6 on them, and it does take those.
Oh, shit.
If it has the 6. No, we don't take the 6. I'm sorry.
Up at the top it says.
It says 1.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I don't know anybody that takes polystyrene. So those egg cartons that come in those white machines, we should never buy those. And nobody takes polystyrene.
the polystyrene, for the lack of a whatever, I don't know that it ever breaks down. I think the sun might end up breaking it down some, but for the most part, it's kind of like PVC, that polyvinyl chloride, or the pipe you buy. That pipe will end up breaking down if the sun hits it. But the polystyrene, it does break down, but it takes a lot more years for it to break down. And used to, the potting soils and stuff had some of that type stuff in them. Recently, I haven't noticed as much of the potting soils and stuff having as much of it in them.
But since you're on the subject, like I said, most of them are like, not everything, but there's still a lot of stuff, particularly comes from China and stuff. But the question I've always had is most soda bottles and things like that, 1s and 2s, the bottle caps never have a recycling number. So, and I just wonder, and I've always just thrown them away because there's no recycling going on. And I know you don't want caps on them there because otherwise it explodes when it compacts it. But do you take the bottle caps? The plastic-
The bottle caps, as far as I would know, would have to go in one of the bulk dumpsters. I don't know that they take them. And I mean, I believe this sign says that, you know, you're supposed to remove all the
It doesn't
caps.
say, it doesn't take them out. Removing them and throwing them in the bin is a little bit different than don't throw the caps in. That's what I'm trying to figure out. The caps aren't labeled.
That's something I did not think to even look up when we were doing this, because, and I'm sure that's one of the items that they separate at the recycling deal. I don't have. For years, I attended different seminars that the waste management groups and stuff put on. And they taught, the big speech was, everybody needs to be like Germany. They recycle 90% of their household waste. And then probably 4 years ago, it came back, all of the plastic bottles that Germany had, that were being incinerated and they didn't know it. So then they had to backpedal and say they weren't doing quite as much recycling. Now, I say that, I believe it's Indonesia and Malaysia actually incinerate the plastic, and the ash that is from that plastic, they're using it to actually increase the size of their islands. Now, it doesn't increase very much, because when that is incinerated, there's not a lot of ash that's left. But, so this sounds ugly, but, you know, we're drowning ourselves in the plastics. We used to, there was nowhere near the plastics. I mean, I guess I'm the world's worst. I think I go through 4 plastic bottles of water a day, you know, at home, the 20-ounce bottles or whatever. And I'm like, I would be better off getting one of the big 5-gallon recycles and put it in a deal and use them, because I carry, well, in my truck, I've got a big, you know, one of the water bottles that everybody carries around. I think maybe we're switching some back to the using reusable bottles, but it still doesn't, we're not doing it enough.
Every time I go in H-E-B or Kroger, I see another 2 rows of nothing but plastic wrap, ready to take out stuff.
You know, and
You get 3 pieces of slices of watermelon, all styrofoam tray, wrapped in plastic. It gets grown.
Yeah, I think as consumers, if we stop buying those things, you know, that's our voice, that's how we.
well, and so I would not give false information, because we were talking and I said, well, all the grocery stores here take the recycled bags. That's not true. Brookshire stopped taking the plastic bags during the COVID in 2020, and they did not go back. H-E-B, Kroger, Walmart, all have recycle bins for the plastic bags.
So does Pecan Foods.
You what?
Pecan Foods also.
Then maybe the Davids or the Brookshire brothers actually takes them, but actual Brookshire's. Because I went in Brookshire's and I went in Brookshire's one morning this past week just to check. Do y'all, you know, still take it? Because I had went in there for something the other day and I'm like, I didn't see it. Well, after I did that, then I went to Walmart and then I went to HEB, and then I went and asked, I went and asked all of them, but I didn't stop and ask Pecan or the Davids here. So,
I thought they used that plastic to make that furniture and also that semi-wood product that they use for building.
okay, do y'all know where the old Equa brand rope company is on 51 Weatherford Highway? Across from, like, say, what is it, Grace Baptist Church, maybe?
Well, it's for your recycle center.
It's across, right by the new pickleball court. Y'all know where that is. Do you know, they make plastic their furniture's made out of plastic. Now, I don't know if they are making it out of like the plastic bottles and stuff. I'm not sure on that. I do know the recycling yard at Bosque County had some kind of deal where they were able to make like a plastic lumber. Or they didn't, but their contact made it. The recycle yard at, in Bosque County also has a glass grinder. If you wanted, say, blue glass or whatever, you could call them and they would save all the blue glass that comes in until they received enough for the volume of blue glass you wanted. There is a charge for it, but they would do that. They use it they're using it a lot, kind of like mulch and flower beds and different things. Some of them were even putting it in their driveways. I'm not sure how I'd want ground glass in my driveway, but I guess it works. Okay. Oh, see, I'm jumping again. That is the glass container. It holds roughly 20 yards of glass. But when I first got to the facility, we just had an open top container there. And one of the drivers panicked because the bottles were shooting out of he had it tarped like they tarp them with those like tarps, but the glass bottles were shooting out at the cars behind him. So they called and asked me, would we be open to taking one of the closed ones? I said yes, because of the safety. So, of course, you can see our nice, we're trying to get it, but we filled a 40-yard roll-off with these appliances Tuesday morning, and we still did not get all of them. So I was out there earlier and we almost have another load right now.
So I assume on the glass, it doesn't matter if it's broken.
Do what?
It doesn't matter if the glass is broken.
Mm-mm.
Just have a lot of brakes dropping down in there, but
Well, they break when they drop down in there. I mean, a lot of them do. So, and I cannot tell you, I have not toured the Midlothian plant. Brownwood has a glass plant. But at the Brownwood plant, they only accept clear glass. And our glass, there's no way to separate it in here. So we have green bottles, the brown bottles, clear, blue, whatever. All colors are put in there. So I know the one at Brownwood used to have the state contract for the striping paints. They add a certain amount of that finely ground glass in those, the paint for the striping, and that's the reflection in them. But the Brownwood plant, in order for it to be used for that, they only accepted the clear containers. Some of the bottling companies now are recycling again. I don't know. I know the Boleman's milk that like they sell at HEB. Those bottles, they have a facility, they take them back. There's a $2 deposit on those and they take them back and reuse them. Years ago, they did Coke bottles too. Okay. The cardboard recycling, that baler was through this, the second grant that was received for the collection station. And in that grant, we received the money to build the metal building that houses the baler and the baler. There are about 44 loads of bales of cardboard up there. The oldest ones are from March because they picked the last load up. I'm not sure what's going on because they've canceled the last two pickups. So I'll call them again Monday to try to get them to pick it up. I have another company that will take it, but it's about a third of the price we get from the recycling yard out of the Metroplex. And like I said, that room was not spray foamed until, I believe we did that in 2020.
About cardboard. What about tape and stuff that's on it? And I know I have to break it down, but do I need to take everything off? Okay.
The tape, the staples, whatever, we leave them in there. Like I said, when I got to the facility, I had, by the time they picked up the first load of cardboard, there had been cardboard that had been on the ground up there for 11 months. But there was minimum spoilage out of the bales because the people that were trying to bale these bales, I know they're not the original ones from 2012 that are running the yard. But we have some very good people that run it and they're very tight bales. If you look at the bales that the facility at the collection station does and go look at the ones that Walmart or Kroger do, there's no comparison in the way the attendants out there bail.
So I have another question about the cardboard. Regular old box cardboard is pretty straightforward, break them down and it's. There's a lot of goods come in, it looks like it's corrugated, but maybe only that thin.
Now, some of the thinner ones we take, I'm trying to think, is there some of the, like, the bottles, Ritz or water or whatever? Like,
Just so many things you get like box wine, okay, it comes in a box, it's not heavy and corrugated, but it is corrugated. If you look at it, it's 2 layers with something else in.
yeah, and it was very finely corrugated.
So those go with the corrugated cardboard, or those go with the other one?
Well, I know that's Brandon in the picture. Brandon will separate it out, and if he doesn't think it will go in the cardboard well, he moves it to the paper and plastic recycling.
Okay. Just so
So-
I check them.
Now, sometimes they get overboard. We do have several food pantries and stuff that bring their boxes out there. Some of them are real good at breaking the boxes down. Some of them not so much, but I think that's because of their facilities. When they receive the items, if they get it out of the boxes real fast and don't let the food sweat in there, if it's cold or whatever, where it damages the boxes. If it does that, of course, they're nonprofits, the food pantries. We do allow them, if the boxes and stuff are damaged, they can go ahead and put them in the bulk waste, but that at least breaks down. In February of 2019, I attended Western Region Waste Management Program in Weatherford. At that point in time, they said the Weatherford landfill had 3 to 5 years. The Weatherford landfill, I believe, closed in 2022. So we barely made it that far. There was a scheduled landfill to be put in Palo Pinto County. You have to have 1,200 acres of remote land to have a landfill. And then, of course, all the neighbors and everybody else can't gripe. The density that Hood County has, there will never be another landfill put in Hood County. And I don't know what all I should say that I know. When the parking lot at Berkshire's went to the lake, at one point in time, that hill was the landfill. I probably have lost those pictures because I don't know if they were on my personal phone. That's 3 phones ago, or if they were on my city phone at the time. But you could see the colors of blue and dark brown glass and everything standing at the side of the sinkhole, looking down in there. Hood County also had one on Calico Court, which is off 51 South before you get to the Hill City split, where 51 and 56 go different directions. Calico Court is on the east side of 51 South, Biloxi Highway. It's now you have to know that it's there. It's owned by the city of Granbury. It was back when the city of Granbury had their own landfill. So at one point in time, it was a scout ranch. There was one shelter out there. Then it became what they called a bird sanctuary. I know some neighbors got upset. I think the city had to clean it up. Some of the area out there up recently. I'm not sure what that was all about. I don't know what had transpired, but it hadn't been in use. And I've been in the area that when I first learned about it was 2010. Because I worked for Hood County in 2010, and then I went to the city of Granbury and worked. And then I was recruited back to work for the county again. This metal bin, anything other than the appliances and metal at the top, the bottom one goes to commercial metals. We have since got it back where it's not going over the top because they can't take it. And if we get it too full, they come up, they'll turn the load down and we'll drive off. A lot of the metal yards now will not take wire. We are still fortunate because when they break it down with the big, for lack of a better term, fingers, the wire gets tangled around those fingers. So commercial metal is still big enough. They do take it. But and just so y'all know, when the refrigerators and freezers all go to Stephenville, they do take the Freon out of them or the coolant out of them, and it is recycled. So, but I had to have a facility that would take them without them being the refrigerant out of them, because we don't have a way to do it. But if I don't take them, they're going to dump them on the side of the road. The other day, and people do have a tendency to dump at our gates.
Is there a charge for the refrigerators and
The metals, all of this, there's no charge. The aluminum cans and the steel cans. And by the way, I have a baler for them, but it's stored in a barn at Road Ops right now. I received a grant in 2019. And in that grant, we got the forklift so we can manage the cardboard bales. And I got the aluminum and steel baler, and it bales little 24-inch square bales. I was also supposed to get a metal facility, but at that point in time, getting contractors to fulfill a job. The contractor that I went with did not get the building built. So we're currently in the works to see if I can add a little two-sided building between where the metal baler is, the cardboard baler is, and the paper and plastics. We're gonna move the paper and plastics down. We can close that one gate and we can go out the I don't know how long some of y'all have been here, the old animal control gate. Because years ago, animal control was out there also. So we have a gate we can use and move that down, and hopefully we will get the aluminum baler and the steel baler set up. The difference in that is we get about 120 a ton for what goes in here. If we bale the recyclables, we'll get close to 600 a ton for the aluminum. Now, the steel probably would be somewhere in the 240, 300 a ton range. And we would have to keep those separate, which we may have to keep it under lock and key too. Although this facility is supposedly locked, if you Google the collection station, it will tell you to come right through the road ops here to get there. The vehicle up top is actually a volunteer. He works out there. He helps the people because a lot of people, if they pay for the bulk and they've got one piece of metal, they're going to just throw it in that dumpster. They're not going to take it and put it in our metal. And the volunteer separates a lot of that out. He'll just set it off to the side, and then after the person bringing the bulk leaves, he'll come back and pick it up and take it. So we do get the money from that, and we're not filling up the landfill. This is the pigsty. The motor oil, and in the center, the 55-gallon drums. Two of them are for antifreeze and the rest is for oil filters. And they will just change the oil filter containers out. Those oil filters are actually taken and they run them through some type of facility. And y'all probably don't want to know this, but the oil collected in these is actually used in like the big cargo ships. They may not run a lot of the fuel, the burnt motor oil in them in our waters, but they run them in international waters. I know that's not what y'all wanted to hear, but, and they can blend it to a certain degree. It is being reused. Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole deal. At least it is being reused. But they do, a lot of the big cargo ships and stuff. The cooking oil is actually what they make biodiesel out of. There are certain of the Mercedes, Audi, and all of those diesel engines that you can run, if this cooking oil is cleaned right and there is no foreign matter in it, they can actually run on that. They'll burn that fuel. So, and then the batteries, we take the batteries to Stephenville and they are recycled. We get about, I don't know, 15 cents a pound for them. But it's better than letting that battery acid and stuff get in the soil. We do not take rechargeable batteries. Staples will take electronics. If you take them to us, if you take an old TV to us or a computer or whatever, it has to go in the bulk We don't have a place to go with it, but Staples will take it. Home Depot and Lowe's will both take fluorescent bulbs, but they will not take commercial usage. In other words, if you have a fluorescent bulb, they will take it from you, but a commercial business can't bring them in there and they take them.
Excuse me, how about like AA batteries and things like that?
Now that, I don't have a place for them to
I
go.
really don't, but it's a.
Staples takes them? Okay, I did not ask them that. Most facilities now charge for every tire you bring. I'm kind of scared to do that because like I said, it hasn't been a year ago and we had large ones or dump trucks dumped on the county roads. So I probably have close to 300 tires right now on rims. If the company that comes and picks up our tires takes them, they charge us $12 a tire that's on the rim to take. So that is another piece of equipment that I have been working with the auditor and we have discussed getting us something that we can break down the tires because we can get paid for the rims. And I have asked for Brandon, the one y'all seen bailing, to see if I can get him to go full-time. He's willing to work full-time. He would be somebody that I would send to pick up the couch that somebody dumped or fell out of the vehicle or whatever. I have some nemesis that thinks Highway 4 right in front of the county judge's house is the place to dump stuff. I have picked up 2 loads. TxDOT's picked up 2 loads. So, because it is a TxDOT highway, but when the commissioner calls and said, hey, will you go get that out of the front of the judge's house? We go get it.
We pick them up out of the Brazos River.
Okay, now that y'all say that, okay? There are several of the subdivisions in Hood County that do an annual cleanup. When they do their annual cleanups, they will ask, can they bring a load of tires? If their tires are off the rim, and Indian Harbor sends a letter on their letterhead that, you know, this was during, they obtained these during their cleanup, we will allow them to bring, you know, I think the most it's been is 35 tires. You're talking about the Brazos River. Several years ago, there was a group out of Pecan Plantation that was going to go pick up all the tires they could find out of the Brazos River. And we were going, once they, whatever the name of that group was, and I don't remember, they were going to bring them to the collection station for free dump of all of the tires they could gather out of the Brazos River. So, and they were wanting to start somewhere behind the dam and go, I guess, the river of Pecan and pick them all up. This was possibly when it was lower. We do have several groups that will ask for vouchers when they do cleanup. This is mainly in some of the lower income areas to try to help. I know, I believe it was 2020, maybe it was 2019. There was a mission group that came in here. They brought over 100 kids. And they built porches for the handicap. They cleaned up items. I scrambled for a full week getting the brush yard, which I'm not in charge of, the brush yard open and the collection station open when we weren't open so they could take the items as they gathered, because they had a little, probably 20-foot flat trailer that, you know, was 2 foot high or whatever, and they would fill that container and bring it to the collection station, and then the kids would unload it. They loaded it and then they would unload it out there. Okay, the collection station, this is all of the stuff we do not accept. And I don't know how many of y'all here were here earlier. The brush yard is closed indefinitely. And they use that term. I believe they have ordered a part, but we don't know when it will get here.
What do we do in the meantime?
Hold on to it. Or hang on, you can take it to Glenrose. And I don't believe we put it on here, but Glenrose charges by the ton for non-county, non-Somerville County residents. And whatever they charge for the non-county residents, the minimum is twice what they charge for county. I think the minimum charge they have, I believe, is $22.50 for brush.
I have a question. So since you said Weatherford is now closed, so where are our contractors taking all of our?
There is a,
I mean, when we do a.
there's one somewhere around Bowie in Montague County. Republic, I know y'all see the Republic trucks run around here because I see them. They have a yard right off of 35 down by Itasca, between Burleson or Alvarado and West. It's clearly visible from 35. It's supposedly a 100-year landfill. But Turkey Creek is somewhere up in the Metroplex. It takes some very weird items. There was and I'm not sure if it was passed by the legislature or what, wanting from somewhere around Hood County north to open a centralized facility. If that happened, I don't know if there is a way to opt out of it. And the price for our bulk waste, landfill waste will be set. And the last I heard, they were looking at 2,000 acres right outside of Denton somewhere, but we wouldn't have a choice. So I'm not sure that's an exact good thing, but we also don't, for whatever reason, this area does not have a landfill. The amount of recycling this area is doing is way less than most areas of the state.
Well, I was just trying to figure where, trash pickup, where is that all going? So where's the waste management taking? Lone Star out of Glenrose or whatever, and they're picking they pick up trash from every house.
I think a lot of them are they've either got a contract with the Republic Yard, which is actually owned by Republic. I'm not sure who owns the one at Bowie. I know like Waste Connections has access to Turkey Creek. Waste Connections is also the one that owned the one in Glenrose. Now there are mulching facilities within the landfills where they can do a certain amount of mulching with the items. And there are certain landfills that will take the shingles and the masonry items and stuff, but that stuff never breaks down. They have some form of test wells there to see if the depth of it is getting to the water tables. They can line those with plastics. I believe it's the 30 mil plastic is supposed to hold up for up to 30 years. But that still doesn't mean it's not gonna pollute it. And if you've been reading anything on the news about the forever chemicals or whatever, they just now have started testing. There's some people out of, it's in the Northeast, somewhere around Maine and stuff. Their neighbors, they have a beautiful orchard, but the fruit can't be consumed because the volume of those chemicals in that. Those chemicals don't ever go away. It's in these people's water tables, and the amount that is in their bodies is off the charts. They don't have a level that goes that high. So sometimes I wonder if we have not paced ourselves out of. Okay, now hazardous waste. The county offers vouchers, one per year, to use. In those flyers, I think it's more legible than this. When you're filling this out from us, check anything that's on this chart that you're going to take. Because one, they actually, and it says Fort Worth Environmental, I believe it's the city of Fort Worth, that we have a contract with. In 2011, the county had a countywide pickup. It was dangerous. They were out on 377. We did it at the collection station. People were lined up down 377. It was a danger. Then they tried another one in 2014. Both times we ended up with hazardous materials housed over the weekend at the collection station. We weren't supposed to do that, but we worked with the city of Fort Worth. We took, I call it the watermelon boxes, the big cardboard boxes that they have the watermelons and cantaloupes and whatever in. That's what we put the paint. And I mean, we stacked it in them to the top. We're gonna pay $95 for each voucher. Now, I say that you can go to Home Depot and get the little packets to put in the paint to turn it hard. But, and I know I don't know if any of y'all have taken old prescription drugs to the sheriff's office and dumped it. So last fall, the sheriff's office calls me and says, where can we take the inhalers? I'm like, so I call the city of Fort Worth at the hazardous waste deal. And that lady said, I don't know who takes those. So go talk to your pharmacies. So I go in HEB and I'm standing there with my Hood County jacket on. And they said, well, take it to the sheriff's office. I said, ma'am, do you see this? And she said, yes. And I said, the sheriff office wants to know what we're going to do with them. And she goes, oh, that is a problem. So I actually, when I called the city of Fort Worth, they couldn't tell me what to do with them. I called Waste Connections and they said, yes, the inhalers are a disposable product that we could put in our bulk waste. So we actually got rid of all of that, but we have received mercury at the sheriff drop. They put it some kind of little jar. We ended up a jar full of mercury. We actually took it to the city of Fort Worth. They did take it for us, but I sometimes get in a pickle with what they bring me that I have no idea what to do with, you know. this is a good thing, although a lot of people don't like it because they have to take it to Fort Worth, but we don't have the staff. Wise County has their own transport. So Wise County has 5 collection stations just like ours, except they take household trash. They have their own trucks and containers. And they transport it themselves. They have a whole fleet and they have drivers that's what they do. Every day they'll go to different facilities and pick up containers and take them to the landfill. We don't have that staff. Oh, I guess that was it. Oh, that was way longer than I told you it was gonna be. I'm sorry. How long is it gonna take? 15 minutes?
So, you know, I really appreciate that Cook County has recycling and a brush yard, and I use it all the time. Right now, I'm carrying around a load of brush in the back of my pickup, because as you mentioned, that's closed. And I've had the same problem out in the recycle place. I go there and it's not open that day. And I was wondering, is there any way, because I wouldn't load this stuff up and take it there if I knew that one place or the other was.
Have you been watching the website? Oh, the Citizens Collection website.
I used to.
Well,
But-
we have. They now have a phone at the collection station, and don't ask me when they're gonna give it out, but it should be open during the hours. We are gonna, as soon as I get everything, the guy got it last week, it
Yeah.
worked 3 days. They actually were open more on the weekend than what we had planned, but if they don't, like Monday, we'll